Brahmana. So in the last session, we had seen, as you might remember, we had seen Shiva talking to Brahma and Vishnu, who were arguing as to who is the creator of who. Like Brahma was saying, I am Swayambhu. Vishnu was saying, no, I made you from my navel's lotus. And that is when Shiva reveals himself as the beam of illumination, the Jyotirstambha. And he tells them, listen, both of you have been born from me. And I am Sada Shiva. He introduces himself and he says, I will be known as Omkara. In Bindu, Nada, Kala, Ityadi, Shiva is to be seen as Nirakara. Most people use the word Nirguna, which I do not approve of. Nirakara is the right way to look at it. And then Shiva also reveals himself as Pranava, A, U, Ma, and I, the Ardhamatra, where he is Sakara or Saguna. This Om is how we know Shiva, and it is the Sanatana. What is Sanatana? Om is the Sanatana. Not just A, U, Ma, the Ardhamatra, Nada, Bindu, Kala, Ityadi, but the entirety of Om, which we use here in our tradition of Trika to achieve Satori first, enlightenment second, and liberation third. We use Omkara, Om, as the tool for meditation. But you'll be surprised to know in Shiva Purana, there are many other things that came out of Om, which we use to symbolize Shiva, which we use to symbolize the idol of Sadashiva. It is said that from this Omkara came moon, which went and adorned the forehead of Shiva. Then came the Damaru, the small drum, the hand drum of Shiva, which signifies the music of creation. You know, in many other religions also you will find, like in Judaism and Christianity, even Islam says God said the word. It has to do with sound. Damaru also is considered to be the genesis of creation. If you look at the Nataraja idol, you will find in one hand Damaru signifying the act of creation, and in the other hand you will find Shiva carrying fire, representing the act of annihilation and destruction. And this act of simultaneously creating and destroying is called Prabhavapyayo. The simultaneous act of creation and destruction, annihilation, that Shiva indulges in as Nataraja, is also being represented here with the genesis of Damaru, the music of creation. And if you look, of course, we are going to go into much detail as we go further into the chapters of Shiva Purana. You will understand how we Sanatanis have always looked at sound as the basis of creation, and that creation itself is communicating with us in 4 different layers, if you want to call it: the Para, Pashyanti, Madhyama, and Vaikhari. The spoken word that you are hearing right now from my mouth is called the Vaikhari. And the more subtle form of this Vaikhari is the Madhyama, and the more subtle form of Madhyama is Pashyanta. And more subtle form of Pashyanti is the Para. And all these 4 elements are represented in the Maheshwara Sutrani, which forms the basis of Panini's grammar of understanding Sanskrit itself, thereby understanding the process of creation. We will look at that as we go further into the Shiva Purana. Then from the Omkara, it is said that the Trishula comes out. The Trishul. This is a weapon. It is an astra representing the Triguna and the Tridoshas. If you look at this universe and if you try to grasp what is it made up of, unlike the periodical table of elements in the Western education system that we have been taught, or looking at a grand unified theory for all the four forces of nature, the Sanatanis have looked at this universe through gunas. The Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. These are the three main gunas that every single iota that exists in this universe and other universes contain. We will also go into a tremendous amount of detail as to what these gunas are, and we'll also look at doshas. The gunas transform themselves into doshas as a part of human body, or as a part of the living organism that is cognizing this world. We will look at all this in the future chapters to come. See, what is important is there is music of creation, and then representing creation itself at the most beginning stage is the Trishula, showing us that there were three gunas. And once you understand these three gunas, the tattvas of Rajas, Sattva and Tamas, you would have transcended them and become, part of the Nataraja, where there is no creator, there is no creation, but it is a huge universal dance where the creator and the creation are both one, dancing simultaneously as each other. Of course, we will get to that point probably in future. So, from Trishula, the Omkara also creates the eternal Naga, the venomous snake that wraps itself around the neck of Shiva and in future stops the poison, the venom from going within when the Samudra Mantana begins. What does this Naga represent? This Naga represents the movement of the universe that is supposed to come. From a pure, pristine potential where there is only Shiva and he's just created Brahma and Vishnu. He must also become ready for the movement, the Gati, that is to come in the future, like that of a snake. So, the creation of the snake from the Omkara tells us, and it is going to be venomous. It is not going to be as pure as Shiva. Then from the Omkara comes the Tripundra. Tripundra. The three lines that is put on the forehead of Shiva in the sacred ash taken from a crematorium. These three lines or Tripundra represents the three Shaktis. Some people say they also represents the Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. But whatever they are the markers for our way back into the Shiva Godhead. If we have to reach the Godhead of Shiva, if we have to break the Randra of Shiva himself, then you must transcend the three Shaktis of Ichcha, Jnana and Kriya also. You must transcend Brahma, Vishnu and Rudra, Maheshwara. We will see how they are also born, if possible, today itself. Then, from the Omkara is produced the third eye, the Jnana Chakshu, the Agnya of this multiverse that constitutes Shiva. Remember, all this is being born out of the beam, the Jyotisthamba, the beam of illumination. that contains everything, including Brahma, Vishnu, the creation, and Akhanda Koti Brahmandas within it. We are talking way before this particular universe was created. The third eye, the Gnanachakshu, if you want to go backwards to the source of Sada Shiva, these are also tools for us to transcend each one of these elements. Before you can transcend the Tripundra, you must have your third eye open. Why? Because Yata Brahmande Tata Pindande. That which is outside in the Brahmanda is exactly how you yourself are made in this Pindanda, in this body. So once you open your third eye, the universal third eye will also start opening with some practice. All these things show our way back. Apart from creating these, the Rudrakshi Mala is also created. The tears of joy, the tears of entering into the Gati, into the Rita of this multiverse, where from pure, pristine auspiciousness of Shiva, we are going to go much further, much grosser into the Mala, into the wastages, if you want to call it that, unholy aspects of this universe also. That's why Rudrakshi comes in, and of course, it also reduces the body heat of the tapasvi. So if you're going to sit for long hours of meditation in tapas, where the body will burn away your karmas accumulated through many janmas, it is said that wearing Rudrakshi is extremely beneficial. After this, Sada Shiva, the beam of light, the Omkara, orders Brahma to start the process of creation. May the games begin is exactly the word that is uttered by Sada Shiva. Let the Leela start. Leela meaning the game. Let the games begin. This huge mega creative Olympics is ordered to come into effect. Then, after Brahma says, as you wish, Sadashiva orders Vishnu to permeate Brahma's creation in its entirety and sustain it, to which Vishnu also agrees. Why are we learning Shiva Purana this way? So that you understand the order of creation as given by the Shiva Purana. He also accepts the moment both of them understand what they are supposed to do, what their role is in this creation, the Jyotirstambha, which is all pervading, which is containing Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara and everything else, it is everything, suddenly disappears. Meaning, the moment the Ahankara, we will also be connecting this to the Sankhya philosophy in a while. Meaning, the moment Brahma acquires his kartrutva, his doership, and Vishnu acquires his doership, Sada Shiva, the all-pervading Jyotirstambha, disappears, even though they are also contained in it. Then Sada Shiva cannot be seen, and Brahma thinks that I am creating and start letting loose the creative juices. The creative juices start flowing. Actually, the word that is used is creative juices because it creates a samudra, an ocean of creativity. And from this ocean of creativity is created a saffron colored universe with 24 elements. Let me repeat this for all those people who failed to understand it in the first instance. A saffron colored, kesari colored universe with 24 elements. Hey, but aren't there 25 elements in Sankhya? Absolutely. The first element in Sankhya is the Purusha, and the Purusha is already active as Sada Shiva, and Sada Shiva cannot be created by Brahma, so he creates the other 24 elements. And you know that I will share a link with you on Sankhya Darshana. Sankhya, we don't like calling it philosophy, but I have given a longish talk, a discourse, a mythical discourse on Sankhya philosophy, which is available on YouTube. I'll be sharing a link with you. You can go through it. But you must understand that Sada Shiva himself, or the Purusha in Sankhya Darshana, doesn't undergo any change. All transformation happens in Prakriti, in the Shaktis. All modifications happen in the Prakriti, and the light of Sada Shiva, when it enters Prakriti, she undergoes one change after the other. First, Mahat Tattva is created, then Ahankara is created, then Buddhi is created. 3 elements, and then the Pancha Jnanendriyas, the cognitive organs are created, the eyes, ears, mouth. Then the Pancha Mahabhutas are created, that is Prithvi, Vayu, Teja, Akasha. Then the Pancha Tanmatras are created, that is your elements of cognition like smell, taste, sight, sound, etc. and touch. And then the Karmendriyas are created, that is the speech, the sight, the auditory facilities, the smelling facilities, and etc. and reproduction. So these are the 24 elements. So who is the witness? Who is the witness of this transformation? It can only be Purusha. इश्क़े ज़ोखे नज़ारा मुफ्त में बदनाम है, हुस्न खुद बेताब है जलवा दिखाने के लिए. Prakriti is so willing to show what she is capable of, how much change she can undergo. And the Purusha, Sada Shiva, is interested in looking at what are the modifications possible when he enters, when he impregnates Shakti. So this entire universe is nothing but a huge Shiva Shakti procreation game that is going on. That is why we call it Leela if you are looking at it from a Shiva's point of view, and we call it Maya if you're looking at it from the Shakti's point of view. If you want to know more as to how this is backed by the Vedas, then you must listen to Nasadaya Sukta from the Rig Veda, where point by point, element by element, how the coming together of various elements creates another element is given in detail. What is the difference between Maya and Leela? Maya is always played by the female, and Leela is always played by the male. So it is always Shiva Leela, Krishna Leela, Rama Leela. And it is always Durga's Maya, Maha Maya, Chamundi's Maya, Chandi's Maya. Leela is an outright game. Maya has in it innate rules which cannot be changed, because Maya is dependent on the Leela of Shiva if you're a Shaivite, or Vishnu if you're a Vaishnava. But of course, there is another view that Maya is more important, because without the modification that happens in Shakti or in Prakriti, Shiva is nothing but a beam of illumination, just the Jyotirstambha doing nothing. Therefore, very boring. I think we will stop here today. I hope this has been enjoyable to you. I would like to end this session by telling you that the unchangeable Purusha is the only observer of the changing Prakriti as I. This is also the essential element of Trika when we say this whole universe, or in fact the whole multiverses that exist, Akhanda Koti Brahmandas are nothing but sweet nothing spoken between Shakti and Shiva. Shiva being the Prakasha, the illumination, and Shakti being Vimarsha, the changeable element in this equation. So whenever you enjoy something or when you are suffering something, you must remember that the modification that is causing the happiness or the sorrow is happening only in the Prakriti, in the Shaktis. But the observer, because he is entangled in the Maya of the Shaktis, believe that I am undergoing the modification. Shiva suddenly starts thinking that I am Guru Moksha. And all the pain that Guru Moksha is suffering from, or all the happiness, the Ananda that Guru Moksha is experiencing is actually being, that modifications are taking place in Shiva, the Purusha himself. But the moment the Mala, the shortcoming of Maya is cut, Shiva is clearly able to see that I am Shiva and I am only playing the game of Guru Moksha, and the modification that is happening in the Shaktis of Prakriti. So we will stop here and we can take questions if you have any. And tomorrow we will go into the next portion of Shiva Mahapurana. Shri Shambho Ramanatha.